Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2020 September kits for this. And I wanted to start with this beautiful paper from Crate Paper. It's the Marigold collection. And I wanted to use these stripes as a starting point for a background design. And when I saw these stripes, I thought that I could rearrange them in a rainbow order and try to create sort of a subdued rainbow layout. So that's what my attempt is going to be here. And so I want these to look a little uneven and messy because up close they look like paint strokes. So I'm going to cut each of these out and then run them through my edge distressor there, which is that little black tool there. It's just got a little blade in the middle, and it's going to rough up the edges to make them look a little torn and rough. And I'm going to use these two photos here from a few years ago of me and my daughter. I love taking little selfies with my girls. And so I'm going to, use these stripes some way, somehow. And at first I thought I would leave them in the order that they were on the paper. But then I thought, well, let me see what it would look like if I rearrange them. And I wound up really loving how they looked in rainbow order. So I want to sort of do something like this. I want to use white cardstock as the background and kind of layer my photos vertically like that. And then I'm going to go through all of the embellishments. There's a lot of the Crate Paper Marigold collection, a big chipboard sheet here, and there's also a bunch of the Pinkfresh Studio Days of Splendor collection. And these two collections work really, really well together. So I'm going to take some time. I scattered a bunch of things over there on the right that I may or may not use. And I'm going to go back to the background here. And I'm going to stick with the rainbow order and just add a little bit of glue to the center of each of these paper strips and glue them down onto the background and start from there. And I tore a little bit of the edges so they're not all the way from, one end to the other. They're a little bit short so you can see the white along the edges there. So I do want to do a little bit of mixed media on the bottom white part. So I'm going to use a little bit of clear gesso for that. And then off camera, I went ahead and did a little bit of machine stitching along the edges of each of the strips there, just for a little bit of added texture and detail. And then this way I know they are not coming up, and I can go in between each strip and pull them up a little bit so they look a little bit more uneven and crooked. And you can see a little bit of the white paper behind there. And I really like how that looks. It gives it a lot of texture, a lot of interest, and it makes it, not perfectly straight. I didn't want these lines to be perfect and, straight. I wanted them to look a little bit crooked and weathered. So that is good because I'm terrible at making things perfectly straight anyway. So, if you make it crooked on purpose, then you don't have to worry about things being 100% straight. So now that I've got the basic design finished, I can start to come in with these embellishments. And I thought that I had enough embellishments there to kind of do a tone-on-tone thing. And what that means is I'm going to try to put all the little blue pieces on top of the blue section, all of that mustard yellow, burnt orange color on that section, and then the pinks on the pink. And I'm going to do my best to stick to that. There's going to be a couple of things that may or may not be perfectly on each color. This is a sticker from that Jen Hadfield sticker sheet. I'm going to cut it so I can use it as an embellishment and not a sticker. I love that blue color, and it goes really well with a couple of these blue strips. And these are some light pink flowers from the same sticker sheet. And I'm going to use a couple of these puffy stickers from the Maggie Holmes Crate Paper Marigold. And I may not use all of this. I'm just kind of picking anything that matches at this point. And I don't want it to get too busy, but I want to basically embellish a lot around the photos. And I think it's so awesome when there are, 3 different brands or 3 different collections. You've got the Crate Paper, the Pinkfresh Studio, and the Jen Hadfield. And they all just coordinate so perfectly together. The more I looked for colored embellishments to match all of these colors, the more I found. I used a couple of things from this Maggie Holmes sticker book, but since these are transparent and you can see through some of these colors, I'm going to stick them onto some spare cardstock there, because I'm not sure if I want to back them with white yet, and I'm not sure where they're going to go, but I just want to go ahead and pick them out. So I wanted to do a little bit of distressing behind the area where the photos are going to go. So I'm going to use some white gesso to kind of fade out some of the color on the stripes. This is going to be very subtle. It looks like a big old mess here when I'm spreading this down, but it's going to be a subtle thing once it's finished. And I know I've said this a million times, but it's 100% true. When you're making a mixed media background, it always looks like a hot mess when you're making it. It almost looks like you're ruining it. But once you get it there and you put everything back on top of it, it all comes together and it changes everything. Because a lot of the really messy part is the part that gets covered up, and you're going to see just the amount that you need to see around the photos and things. So that is what I'm trying to achieve here. I like to fade out really bold and loud colors, even though these technically aren't loud and bold, but they're still very bold compared to the white. So I want to kind of soften the area around where the photos are going to go. And you know me, whenever I have dark, bold background colors, I love to add white splatters. I've just been addicted to that lately. And I guess it's because everything is fall related. You know, the past few kits have been fall, and so the colors have been a little bit darker than normal. And so white shows up really well on there. So this is just some watered down white acrylic paint. Not too much watered down. I just get a wet brush and soften it up a little bit and then splatter it down, and it dries so pretty. I love how that looks. And then, you know, the photos are going to have some things around them, and so you're going to be able to just see hints of this white around everything. So I do want to kind of bring the blue further down a little bit, and this is where I'm going to do a little bit of the mixed media, and I'm going to use the Lindy's magical powder that we get in the color kit this month. It's called Whale Watch Blue, and it's a really pretty shimmery, I would call it kind of a denim color blue. So I just wet the cardstock there, and remember I did add clear gesso to that a while ago, so it's prepped for liquid. And then just kind of activate the powder and add a little bit of water there and kind of bring the blue color down a little bit. Because I'm guessing at this point that's probably where my title area is going to go. Not 100% sure yet, but I know something is going to be kind of down in that area. And I don't want this to be super dark. I just want it to be kind of an extension of the blue strips. So I'm going to add a couple of layers of this, and it always tends to dry a little bit lighter than when I first apply it because of the gesso. Something about the Lindy's powders and the gesso, in my experience, the colors do dry a little bit lighter. So I kind of add some, let it dry, see how it looks, add a little bit more. And then I am going to add a little bit of a shimmer spray that we got a long time ago. It's called Deep Blue Sea, and just mix a little bit of that in as well, and a little bit more of the powder. So the mixed media on this layout isn't going to be super busy, you know. I wanted the paper strips to show, but I still like to add things to them, and so that's why I went with the white. And then, yeah, just add a little bit of the blue. So mixed media does not have to be a ton, you know. You can just do a little bit here and there, and just to accent a certain area of your layout. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I love how that looks. And that's pretty much all the mixed media is gonna be on this. I think I do add some gold splatters later. And we're going to go on an adventure here in a minute. And yeah, things are going to get a little bit crazy. And you're going to see me make a big old mess here in just a second. So get ready for some excitement. Whoever said scrapbooking was boring. Yeah, it's not, right? All I'm doing here is adding a little bit of tissue paper behind my photos, as well as some adhesive foam to pop them up. And then I'm going to come back with all those embellishments and kind of replace them where they were earlier, or as close to it as possible. And it's kind of easy because, like I said, I'm going to do the tone on tone. And so that means every spot is going to get a matching color embellishment. I'm going to use flowers. I'm going to use leaves, even some bows, chipboard. I've got that little banner up at the top in the pink section. I don't wind up using the Let's Get Cozy. I thought about making that my title. It was just a little small for that lower chunk of the layout, so I'm just kind of seeing what looks good where at this point. Some things are bigger, some things are tiny. That little sheet of puffy stickers is really small, so it's perfect for a layout like this because the strips aren't really wide, and so I didn't want to add huge embellishments, and so these little tiny pieces work great for that. And now I'm going to add in those little clear stickers from the Maggie Holmes sticker book, and I decided to just stick most of them right onto the color, except for this dark blue camera, because you can't see it. When I put it on top of the blue, you couldn't see it. So when I put it on white cardstock and then cut it out, since it's got the white behind it, it's a little bit more visible there. Okay, here's where we're going to make a mess. I got the bright idea to emboss some of these wood veneer frames. And when I emboss, I like to use this Stampendous bottle of embossing ink. And watch what happens when I start to dab. Oh, the lid came off. Yeah, or the dabber part. It just came off. I was sort of sitting there going, what just happened? Yeah, a whole, like half the bottle. Just, yeah. It just came out. So I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do? So I just start to smudge the frames into this pile of embossing goo, because that's what it felt like. This is the same stuff that's in an embossing ink pad. It's just in liquid form, and you dab it on, you know, and that's what I was doing. I was dabbing it. I wasn't dabbing it so hard, but apparently I was, because the whole thing just dumped out. And so now I've got it all over my hands. It's all over my little cardstock piece there. It's getting all over my desk. It's all over the bottle. And I'm thinking, yay, I'm fixing to play with glitter. This is going to turn out great. Well, let me take that back. It's not glitter, but it's gold embossing powder, which might as well be a form of glitter in the way that it makes a mess like glitter. We're going to go for it. So I've got this massive layer of embossing ink or liquid on these frames, and I just wanted to make them gold. That's all I wanted to do, because I thought, you know, this layout would be pretty with a little pop of gold. So I pulled this embossing stuff from my stash. So far we're okay, but I quickly learned when I pulled out my heat tool here that you don't want to use that much of, look at it, it's dripping off. Yeah, no, this is turning out to be a disaster, but I'm going to keep going in hopes that it dries. It would never dry. You know how when you hit the heat to the embossing, it's supposed to magically melt and dry and turn into this beautiful, shiny, shimmery, yeah, all I'm doing is blowing it off. Oh gosh. You'd think this was my first time embossing, but do I stop? No, I'm going to keep going. And I learned my lesson here, that you don't need that much embossing ink, or liquid in this case, to do this. But I thought, we've come this far, we might as well continue to fix it. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep adding the heat to it. Yeah, okay. It's still on my hands, even though I went and washed them. Here's kind of what we have. This is what it's supposed to look like. But guess what? It still wasn't 100% dry. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to cut this frame in half. My trusty Tim Holtz scissors there are awesome. They'll cut through anything. And I'm just going to layer one frame, a little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom, and that's going to give me my pop of gold. But then I realized that the gold glitter was sliding off because I used too much and it wasn't sticking correctly. But you know what? I'm still going to use it. And I'm still dealing with things sticking to my hands because the embossing goo is still on there. I can't get it off. It was quite a disaster, but you know what? The show must go on, so that's what's happening. We're going to keep making this layout. I'm going to fussy cut out a couple of flowers from some of the Pinkfresh Studio big floral die cuts. I don't even use that second frame. I was kind of frustrated here at this point with the embossing mishap, So I'm going to go ahead and glue this frame underneath the photos there. One at the top, one at the bottom, even though the glitter is sliding off. And then that chipboard made the photos higher in one section, so I had to add some more adhesive foam to pop up the rest of the photos so it's all the same height. And now we're good. The embossing adventure is over. I'm not going to do that anymore for the time being because, yeah, I'm not speaking to my embossing bottle there because it fell apart on me. Maybe that's time, or maybe that's a sign that it's time to get rid of it. I don't know. I've had it for a while and it's worked great, but yeah. Anyway, we're gonna continue. We're gonna finish this joker. So I'm gonna add in some thread here. I've got the perfect blue thread there, and I felt like it looked really good down there at the bottom. I like how it brings that darker blue down there to that section. Yep, there's some more embossing gunk at the bottom. How did it get on the bottom of the layout? I don't even know. It's probably all over my arm and I don't even know it. Pink thread up at the pink section, and that's just a subtle pop of texture up there. And then I'm going to add some of the green. There's one strip of that hunter green color, and I didn't have that perfect color, so I'm going to mix a couple of greens together to match and tuck that in over on the right. So I've got 3 little areas of thread going on. And again, it's tone on tone, so it adds mostly just a little bit of texture and interest in each section there. And then I'm going to start to glue things down because I don't want to move anything at this point. I love how this looks. And so very carefully, I'm going to start by gluing down the small things and then work up to gluing down the photos very carefully. And I'm using Scotch tacky glue in the bottle there. That's a fine liner bottle. It comes empty. You can find those at Amazon or at Hobby Lobby. And they come empty, and then you put the glue in there. I've only ever used the Scotch tacky glue. I know some glues are too thick and they won't come out very well, but this glue works great. I'm going to continue to add a couple more things here. I have this little banner sticker here that says "You Make Me Smile." I'm going to try to add that to the bluish greenish section. And then a little bit of these light blue pieces down at the bottom. Even though I don't really have a light blue section, even I like how it looks there because, you know, the blue is getting lighter as we get lower. So I felt like I needed something underneath the photo. I didn't want to get too busy down there. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for a title. I'm obsessed with these gold puffy thickers. I'm going to use a couple of the leaf sprigs in a couple spots and a couple of the hearts. And I'm probably going to use one of those words as my title. Just not sure which one. So this was a layout that I had to take some time to figure out the title. Some layouts, I know from the very beginning what the title's going to be. This is one that it was the last thing that I had to figure out. And I wasn't sure how I wanted it to look because, the bottom photo is tilted a little bit. And I didn't want to cover up the frame because it was such a hassle to create. So I wanted to make sure that you could see it. And I thought about using that together piece, but it was too much, I think. This is the gold glitter spray that we got about a year ago in a color kit, I think. So I added some of that. I got this thankful sticker from the Maggie Holmes sticker book, and I added it to some vellum and then cut it out because I liked the way it looked kind of right there in the middle of the 2 photos because it's kind of subtle, but it kind of breaks up the pictures. And then I decided to go with love because I liked the size of it and I liked the curve of it, or not the curve, but the angle. It's kind of, you can angle it up a little bit, and I wanted to layer it a little bit on top of the bottom of that photo somewhat, not to where it's covering up a lot of the photo, but just a little bit at the bottom there. And I like how that looks, and I like that it's gold. And then I'm going to add in Her So Much from these little black alphas here. So Love Her So Much. That's going to be my title. And I felt like adding the black stickers was appropriate since the photos are black and white, and there's a couple little specks of black up in some of the words and the stickers and things. So I felt like that kind of pulled that down to that section of the layout. And I'm going to add in a couple more of these black clear stickers that I love. They look like stamps. I love stickers like this. I just haven't used them enough. I want to use more of them. I wanted to add a couple more of the black ones around the layout, but I felt like it was just too much. I felt like it just started to look too busy. So I've got enough as it is. But I love this tone on tone effect. I think it is so much fun to do that. And it helps you with your embellishments because, you know, you can only use pink things on the pink section and so on and so on. And so it kind of limits what you can work with, which helps narrow it down. So I think that is a good thing. Last thing to do is add the journaling. I'm going to do that right here underneath the title, and that's a black fine tip Sharpie that I'm using. And then I added a couple more, a little butterfly and some little specks over there to the left and the date. But that is the final layout, and I really love, love, love how this turned out. I am surprising myself with how much I'm enjoying working with these darker fall colors because, you know, I'm normally a bright summer girl when it comes to my layouts, but I am really, really enjoying working with these deeper, richer colors. There you can see that frame. Look how terrible that looks. What is that? Oh my gosh, what an adventure. But yeah, here are all the close-ups. I used a lot of different things here. Die cuts, stickers, chipboard. I hope this gives you some fun ideas to try. I hope it inspires you in some way. I hope you learned something about what and what not to do if you're using an embossing liquid like that. Yeah, look at that frame. Pitiful. But hey, it's still got gold glitter on it. We're going to go for it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.